Welcome to Global Talks with myself, Zanna, and today we have a superb gentleman from London, England, United Kingdom. I'm actually very excited to introduce this special person. But before I introduce you all, let's start with a look about what the female solution is all about. When we've had a little look, we'll be back and I'll be introducing you to this special person. Back in a moment.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
And welcome back. And I'm actually really excited to introduce this rather special gentleman. I would call him an entrepreneur without a shadow of doubt. This gentleman has a wealth of abilities and experiences, from sales to motivational speaker, a tech scholar, and also an author. So let us welcome today Mr. CHRIS HILAIRE.
Hey Zanna, you good?
Welcome to Global Talks.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming. This is going to be great. This is going to be great. So here we are. I've been looking forward to this for ages. It's fantastic. Now, what I would like to do, first of all, is talk with you about where you started as a young man, because you've had quite a journey up to where you are now. And yeah, I would definitely describe you as an entrepreneur, because so many interesting things that you have done. But you started as a very young man, am I right in saying, when you were 20, in sales? So that's kind of where it all started, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, when you say like you'd like me to talk about it, I mean, how long have you got? I think we've only got the hour, so I better condense it right down.
We've got 1 hour.
Okay, so yeah, so let me go back even further from when I was 15, because up until 15, I was at school and a footballer, and all I ever wanted to do was play football, and that was my dream. And so school was kind of like so far back on the back burner. Education was just something I wasn't interested in. So, and then at age 15, I got a serious knee injury, and that put an end to that ambition. And so now all of a sudden, I'm now nearly 16, thinking to myself, well, what are you going to do with yourself? Well, the only thing I was good at was drawing and cooking. So I decided, for all the right reasons, I'd go to catering college. And I went to catering college, qualified as a chef, but realized halfway through the course, I probably was never going to be a chef, because it just wasn't, there was too much. They just, I as much as I love cooking and loved cooking and still and all that stuff, it just was, management was probably where I saw myself. Running the kitchen, owning the kitchen was probably where I saw myself, even as a young age, as opposed to being the guy that's in there with the sweat pouring down my head and all of that stuff, you know. And so that then took me to a place where I then finished the course at 18, went and worked in the industry for a bit, and then at the age of 20, I met my then girlfriend at the time, and I met her at catering college. So we were both chefs, and the first sales job we ever done was I sold my dad on the idea, who had just finished. My dad had just retired, and was close to retiring, but had just paid off his mortgage. And so my first sales job was to sell him on the idea of remortgaging his house that he just paid off, to buy a restaurant. But so we found a restaurant in Bury St Edmunds, and then we got gazumped. And for those of you that don't know what gazumping means, what it basically means is that just before you're about to exchange contracts, somebody raises the price, and they raised it by so much we couldn't match it. And by this time, there was nobody else in the race for this. So by this time, we'd given up our jobs. So I needed to get a job, and I saw this advert. It said sales delivery, and I thought, well, I'll go along and do that for a little while until I can find another job in catering. And it turns out the job I was going for was selling vacuum cleaners door to door. So and I actually kind of thought, do you know, I could do this. When they showed me this vacuum cleaner, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I've never seen a vacuum cleaner like this. It was an American vacuum cleaner. They were back in 1989. They were £800, so they were super expensive. Today, I think they sell for something like 2,500. And so I then started doing that. Within a year, my then girlfriend joined me as well, started selling them. Then within a year, they gave us a small branch. Within 2 years, they gave us the whole of London. And we stayed in the industry, stayed in Kirby for many, many years. And that's where I learned to cut my teeth in direct sales. I learned not just about rejection, because when you sell an £800 vacuum cleaner, you get a lot of rejection because you're selling them door to door to everyday people. So I learned about rejection. I learned a lot about myself, because there are times where you go a couple of days, 3, 4 days, 5 days without a sale, and you can't start doubting yourself. You start, you learn a lot about yourself in those circumstances. Then when you start running an organization, a distributorship, you then start learning about dealing with people. And one of the first things I learned was that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. The more you can invest in people, the more time I could invest in my people and get them making money, the easier it was for me to get vacuum cleaners sold, the more money I made. So the key principle that I learned from all of that was just help enough people get what they want out of life. And the dollar, as they say, the dollars will beg to play in your backyard, So, and then from there, I had a small something happened to me when I was like 30. A part of my brain shut down, and I lost all my balance and couldn't work for 10 months. I had vestibular syndrome, and and so when that happens, you kind of you get a reality check of all of a sudden, like you're not superhuman, I can tell you a little bit about that. So in the January, I started tripping over things that weren't even there. And people would go, "You're all right." And I'm going, "No, I just tripped over it. It's fine." And then being this super positive salesperson, I just ignored it. And I don't know if that's being super positive or that's just being a man. I don't know. But I just ignored it. And by May, my wife says to me, "This can't go on. You're now." I was crashing into walls and all sorts. And I had slurred speech and all sorts. So anyway, I went to the doctor. Ooh. And he said to me, "You need to get straight to the hospital." Got me to the hospital. And it was vestibular syndrome, thankfully. And vestibular syndrome can be repaired by a thing called Cooks's therapy. So there was no surgery required. It was just time. And it was 10 months. So I couldn't work for 10 months. And what I learned about myself in that 10 months is that my super positive brain was super tested, because I was like, I know you like your horses. And so you can imagine a thoroughbred that's now sort of like can no longer race anymore, is now just in the field. It's kind of, it takes some time to understand why I couldn't even drive. So it took some time to get to that, like, oh, so I can't even jump in my car anymore. It's sort of like, But what I also learned from that is I only had one income stream. And so when I couldn't work, I didn't have an income stream. Thankfully, we had been fairly successful, so we had quite a bit of a cushion. But what I learned from that was, don't ever let that happen to yourself again, Chris. And so I never. And from that, when I got back, I then went to work. I got back into Kirby, and then I then went to work for another company. Still selling vacuum cleaners. And in between that, I then I invented a product called Fragrance Sand. So Fragrance Sand, fragrantsand.com, it's basically it's an air freshener. So whereas some people have got like an oil burner in their house and they put oil on top of it and then they put candles underneath it and it heats up and it makes the room smell nice. It also spits up your wall and is just, So no, I invented this product where you put, I infuse sand, you put that on top of a burner, put that underneath and put a candle underneath it, heats up and it makes your room smell nice. So then from there, I just got into many different. Everything. Anytime somebody comes to me and says, "Chris, what about this?" and I go, "Let's look at it," and I look at it and see if I can do something with it. If I think I can do something with it, beautiful. So that's basically that's where I got to with this.
Is this where your love for self-help came in?
So the thing for self-help came from right at the very beginning. I was very, very fortunate that within the industry that I was in, I got to meet people like Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins. And if you don't know who these are, search these guys up. And I was very, very young. And one of the things that struck me was the fact that these are just super positive people and they had super positive anecdotes. And, it's kind of, you like to, and you kind of get, it just struck a chord with me. So so that's where what I also learned though is when you're dealing with people, all this stuff that I've learned from Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins and all the other people that I've watched and listened to and what have you, I could actually implant that into other people, So that's where my desire to help other people through motivation was grown.
So this was really kind of evolving into becoming a motivational speaker.
Yeah,
really.
I
think of you as a very organic motivational speaker.
Yeah,
there's something else I want to talk about in a bit. Yeah.
Okay, so because there are people that are what I call professional, like Zig Ziglar, like Gary V, like Tony Robbins. These are professional speakers. They immerse themselves in that, and then they get on stage and do it, and they do it for a living. I don't do it for a living. Would I like to do it as a living? Again, probably it would challenge me. So yeah, I probably would, because I like things that challenge me. But the more important thing for me is if I see somebody who has got an issue right here and now, in the here and now, I like to just get them talking about it and find out what it is. And if I can help them, beautiful. And if I can't, they've lost nothing by speaking to me.
Quite a lot more I want to ask, but there's one thing I do want to ask about, and that is your big brain versus small brain theory.
Okay, so I was gifted. Yeah, so I was gifted at birth a very, very small brain, And whenever I say this to people, because, okay, if we take it back to the point where people often say to me, my wife and other people, how have you managed to go through your life and never worry about anything? And I say, the reason I don't worry about anything is because at birth, I was gifted a small brain. Okay. And people go, oh no, you have it. And they think I'm being derogatory to myself. I'm not. I'm being super positive to myself, because with a small brain, so people with big brains have a lot of space in their brain, okay, for overthinking and stuff like that. People with small brains don't have that space. So think about this. When you as a child, if your parents gave you the small bedroom, a couple of things out of place in that small bedroom, and it looked really messy and untidy. Whereas you got the big bedroom like my brother had, and a couple of things out of place, it still looked tidy, So, and he could still function in that room. Whereas for me, a couple of things out of place, I couldn't function in that room. My brain's the same way. So I'm very careful about what I put in it. And so when I say a small brain, I don't have space for worry. I don't have space for drama. I don't have space for, I definitely don't have space for overthinking. You know, for me, you know, solutions, a lot of people are paralyzed by their own thinking. And that's where the big brain, small brain theory comes from. Because as I say, people with big brains, they just got so much space for all this thinking. What if this happens? What if that happens? You know, I talk about my wife a lot because she has a big brain, and you know, we get to an airport 3.5 to 4 hours before our flight time so that her big brain can cope with what if that plane takes off early? What if there's traffic on the motorway on our way there? What if? And her brain is full of what ifs, you know, and people that overthink are full of what ifs because they've got a lot of space for what ifs. I don't have any space for it, so it's good. So that's the small brain versus big brain theory, you know.
So it's not the size of the brain, it's the content you cram into one and the organization of another.
And also,
be
exactly.
Going to fit into the small bedroom.
Correct.
Not cluttered.
Correct. So going on, just quickly going on from that point, you know, if you're thinking too much, you find that you can't see the woods for the trees because you're thinking so much about a particular issue, you know. Whereas if you can just keep things very, very simple in your mind, you know, one of the first things I ask myself when faced with a challenge is, what is my worst possible outcome? Because once I know what my worst possible outcome is, it's really simple for me to go, that's the worst that's going to happen. Okay, we need to do this, or I need to do that, because that's the worst that's going to happen, you know. Or if I look at it and go, the worst thing that's going to happen is this thing's going to end up completely in a mess and it's not going to be fixable, then we don't do it, because again, we know what the worst possible outcome is, you know. So it's just keep things very simple. That's what I do.
So for a person that would qualify as being big-brained and overloading, you'll have way a person to tighten up that space, become more small-brained. Can we do that?
I think everybody can do that. I think it's a question of, it's again, it comes back to what you put in your head, you see, because again, if you feel your brain, you know, it's a bit like, and women probably know this, and I don't want to sound sexist, but women will probably know this more. When you got a big handbag, you'll find stuff to fill it with. If you go out of a small handbag, you'll find stuff to fill it with. Whatever way, you're going to end up with a fairly 3/4 full handbag, you know? And the brain's a little bit like that. Do you know what I mean? We'll just find something to fill it with, you know? And a lot of people fill it with stuff that...
a bit like a handbag.
Well, you know, and this is the thing, is there's so much sort of like stuff in here, you know, but you know, you just got to kind of you got to keep control of your own brain. And the only way I can do that is control my controllables. And this is one of the things I do say to people a lot that overthink things. Control your controllables, because what you're worrying about, it's been proven that 95% of what you worry about doesn't happen. And the other 5% you couldn't stop. So don't worry about it, you know? And the things that you worry about, 9 times out of 10 are things you're out of control of.
Exactly, your controllables.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. Yeah. That's all I try to do, is control my controllables. You know?
Brilliant.
Sorry, could you repeat that? You cut out then, sorry.
So moving on from, so you had, so from beginning of your late teens into your 20s up to your 30s, you're rolling along, yeah? You've got all these ideas and you're moving, you know, you're finding solutions and that led you into with a medical issue. So you had to deal with that. And from that, you had to move forward. So somewhere along the line, which I'm assuming is after all of that, can we talk about taxi talk?
Yeah. So that goes back to what I said was about so one of the things my doctor, who is a good friend of mine, Sean, he said to me, my GP, he said to me after the vestibular problem, I said to him, so what causes this? He said, we don't really know at this stage what causes it, but what it just happens to fit in healthy people. So one of the things that he said is that what you should do though is every 4 to 6 weeks, take 4 days off. Because my work schedule, because of the way my brain works, because of the way that my sleep patterns, you know, for most of my adult life, I've lived off of 4.5 to 6 hours sleep, maybe. 6 is a good night. 4.5 is an average night, and sometimes it's even 2, you know. But because of the way my brain works, so he said every 4 to 6 weeks you need to take some time off. And so I still do that to this day. I regularly take at least 4 days off, 5 days off every 4 to 6 weeks. And one of the things how I got into the taxi was because of the fact that I kind of thought to myself, and I love selling vacuum cleaners, but it was always in my brain that when I get to 55, I'm going to semi-retire and go down to 7 days a week instead of doing 9. Because I kind of figure that it's, you know, I'm a big believer that people that retire die. And I'm not a golfer. So these guys that can retire and go play golf 3 days a week, beautiful. People that can retire and go and ride horses every day, beautiful. I'm not that guy. So for me, I needed to be able to do something. Plus, I also wanted to be able to travel. And I also wanted to be able to, when I come back, be able to pick up and work again. So that for me, driving a London taxi was super important. I wanted to be able to master that skill. And plus the fact it's a skill because of the fact that it takes so long to do it. And so that's why I done it. So that when I get to 55, I can go down, I can go take my cab out 3 days a week and, you know, do what I do. And so I was 38. And at the time people were going, why do you want to drive a taxi? And I'm going, you know, or are you leaving to drive? I go, no, I'm not going to leave. I'm just doing this now. When I get to 55, I've got something to do. And they were like, why are you thinking about your retirement now? You're only 38. And I'm going, when would you say is the best time to think about your retirement? Not when you're 54, you know? So, and for those of you that, for the people on that don't understand what it takes to drive a taxi in London, you have to learn all 27,000 streets of London, 10,000 places of interest, blue plaques, statues, buildings, restaurants, hotels. And then you've got 4,000 no left turns, no right turns, and no entries that you've got to learn. They give you up to 2 years to learn it. And once you can't go over your 2 years, but once you get to 2 years and you've learned it, you go, yeah, I've learned it. They then spend the next 18 months to 3 years grilling you every 56 days till they're convinced that you do know it. And then, and only then will they give you the badge. When you see a cab driver, he wears his badge all the time because he has to wear it, but B, he wears it with pride because he knows how long it took him to do it, you know? And, you know, I done it relatively quickly in 3.5 years, but I still done 4 winters on a scooter in all weathers, you know, learning the streets of London. So it's, but it's good. You know, it's like learning another language. So it's a good thing, you know. It's so now
becoming a taxi cab driver, amazing.
And you know what? Leading in from that, have you got time for me to tell you a little? Yeah. Okay. So leading in from that, we're
going to have a break. Yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to have a break in 5 minutes. But
okay.
What starter?
Sorry, you cut out then. Say that again. Yes. Yeah, so Well, that's what I was going to say. Well, it basically leads into
The
the fact
taxi
that
because that's really important.
well, it is because when you pick up people in your cab, a lot of people, believe it or not, they just want to talk. They want to talk, but they don't want to go home and talk to their partner, or they don't want to go to their office and speak to a colleague. They just want to be able to talk to someone who doesn't know them, not going to judge them, who doesn't, And so people tell you all types of things. But one of the biggest challenges that I see is particularly with the young people today is they work stressful jobs and they come out of there and they get in your cab and you go, have you had a good day? No, I've had a terrible day. Well, tell me about it. That sounds like a story. Tell me about it. What happened? And they kind of like, they go through what's happened with their day. And I go, well, let me ask you this. Do you like your job? No, hate it. But, it pays the bills. And I go, well, then leave. And they sit back and go, what do you mean? I can't leave. I'm going, leave. Let me tell you something. Don't do anything in this world that makes you unhappy. Don't stay in a relationship. Don't stay at a job. Don't stay at a club. Don't do anything that makes you unhappy because life's too short. You might only live till you're 98. So why would you want to spend one day being miserable, being unhappy, being in a place that doesn't make you happy just because it pays your bills? Because, once when you're 6 foot under pushing up daisies, those bills will get paid by somebody else then anyway. So what do you care? Why fill your head with stress and drama? Because you don't. And in today's world with Google and AI and all of this stuff, you can look and just ask it how many people have got illnesses that are stress related through unhappiness and stuff like that, and it will probably give you a whole list of like 76% of people. So yeah, and this is what one of the best things I get out of driving a cab is the fact that when I meet these people is I get to talk to them and kind of feel that when they get out it's kind of like a therapy session. And I've had people say, do you mind if I take your number? And do you mind if I call you again when I might need to just talk to you again next week if it's okay? Do you mind? And I'm like, absolutely not. And I have people go, you should charge for this, but it's for me, it's not, I don't need to charge people. Yeah, but when you're old, like I am, you've lived a lot of life, and particularly with younger people, they live with things that I never. Sorry, you cut out again. Sorry.
Yeah.
I said particularly.
We were out of kilter for a little bit because the internet.
I thought so. When I was just about to say with the younger generation,
that's where you kind of enhanced your net.
Yeah, you see, well, one of the things with the younger generation, with me being old, I still remember the days where when I left work at 5 o'clock, well, not me, but when the average person left work at 5 o'clock, you're not getting hold of them until 9 o'clock the next day. You're not ringing them on a mobile phone or sending them texts like at 11 o'clock at night. They're not answering emails at that because, like I say, one of the benefits of being old is life was a lot simpler back then. So the youngsters today, the people that are in their 20s, 30s, even 40s are now dealing with things that we would never have had to deal with back then. But they're having to deal with them and without, sometimes I think without the motivation. Because the thing with a lot of people is they love negativity. The average person has a lot of thoughts a day, thousands of thoughts each day, and 80% of their thought process is negative. And so when they watch, and a lot of people watch the news, and some people need to watch the news because of their job. Some people just watch the news because they're addicted to negativity. I can't tell you how many years it's been since I've watched the news. I just don't watch it because 5 minutes negativity can stay in your subconscious for up to 23 hours. So I'm very, very careful what I put in my head.
Yeah. Well, I think that's fascinating, and I can certainly say I've absorbed a lot from you, because it makes me stop and think, do I overload my handbag? You know? So
Exactly.
this is going to lead us on to something else. We have to take a short break now. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about this.
Breaking Free.
The book. But we're going to take a break now. And when we come back, we're going to move on into that. See you in a couple of minutes.
No worries. Take care.
Great day. It's your girl Asada here to introduce a new female solution show called Asada Says. That's right. Every month we're going to talk about everything I am, from cryptocurrency and financial security to good health and parenting strategies. Come on and talk with me every Tuesday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And let's do that thing the way Asada says it should be done. See you then. Peace, right here on the Female Solution.
Peace and love. I'm Michelle Renee, host of Education Nation, live on the Female Solution Global Network every second and fourth Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The intention of Education Nation is to raise awareness about the literacy crisis and to offer information to combat the problem. The goal is to awaken an army of reading coaches and mentors. You will experience guests who are doing their part in the community to ensure youth in their circles are reading and thinking critically. I look forward to serving you in this capacity. Literacy is freedom, and Education Nation will offer information and strategies to help ensure our young people stay free.
Welcome back, Education Nation. Now, that will be a show not to miss tomorrow. Check it up on the Female Solution. So I think that's midday Central Time, but check it up. One not to miss. So, welcome back, CHRIS HILAIRE.
Hi.
So it's been fascinating speaking with you for the first half of the show. And I, for one, and I hope our audience also, have kind of stopped to think things that you've said, how you deal with certain aspects of life, how you organize your brain, how you deal with monumental issues and come out of it. And in all of that, how, you know, I kind of addressed you as a motivational speaker, which you are, because you speak with people and motivate them in a fabulous way. I never realized that you had that the input of it never entered my head that there was so actually learn and memorize. It's extraordinary. So becoming that taxi driver, you're communicating with your the people that you're driving, and you're becoming their motivational talker. Taxi talks, absolutely brilliant. Now, what I really, really want to talk about now is incorporated in all that you have done, you also became involved in tech knowledge. And from that, Tony Bello, you both wrote this book, Breaking Free. So breaking free from centralized control to decentralized freedom. There we go. There's the book. How that came about what was the passion, because everything you do Chris, comes out of passion. What was your passion behind this book?
So what happened was me and Tony have got a mutual friend in another business, and he was trying to get me to work on a project, and he brought Tony in to work on the same project.
You can hear me now.
I can now. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. You can hear me? Okay, I think we're out of kilter again.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
I can hear you. Talk about the book.
Okay, so this is what I was saying. So through this other thing, a friend, I got introduced to Tony, and Tony was working on a smart contract, and I didn't really know much about smart contracts, but I knew about, I knew a little bit about crypto, and quite a bit about crypto and stuff like that. That during lockdown, that I had, revised, because when during lockdown, so many of us kind of didn't really, we wasn't busy. So, and if you've got a busy brain, you have to kind of keep it busy. So I started looking into crypto, looking into this, looking into that. And so I learned quite a lot about it. And then, so when I met with Tony and what have you, Tony was working on this smart contract, and this smart contract involved kind of like moving crypto around and what have you, and recruiting people to use crypto and stuff like that. But the challenge that we had was, it was just super complicated. And, again, I have a very simple brain, so I have to keep things very, very simple. And so one of the things, it just so happened one night, it was about 3 o'clock, like I said to you earlier, I don't sleep well. So about 3 o'clock in the morning, I just suddenly thought, that's it. I know we found the answer. Why don't we write a book, and we'll give people the crypto they need to work the smart contract? And so I rung Tony. I couldn't wait for like 7 o'clock or 7:30 the next morning, because I couldn't call him at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I rung him the next morning. We had this conversation, and he was like, "It's a good idea. That's a good idea." So, and I said, he said, well, and I said, what it really needs to do is, it just needs to help people. Because most people that we're dealing with don't know anything about crypto. They don't know what crypto is. They don't know what a wallet is. They think a wallet is something that their parents, that somebody gives them at Christmas time. It's like, and they put money in it and what have you. They need to know what that is. They need to know what the banks are doing. They need to know, just basic things. Most people don't know basics about banks, just, and so they trust the bank, and that's expensive. So anyway, that's how so we talked, and that's how the book evolved and became a thing. And then we spent 5 weeks working back and forth with each other on different scripts on what we wanted in the book, and how we wanted it out, what I wanted to say, what Tony wanted to say, and what we thought was going to be really educational for people. Because again, it's all about education. Because if you're not learning every day, when you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're rotting. So it's what you learn after you think you know it all that's important. And with the centralized world, they rely on centralized governments, centralized banks. They rely on 95%, or even about 95% of their population being too lazy to educate themselves. So then what happens is, they then come up with their solution. This is the bank solution, and everyone goes, "Oh yeah, they made that really simple for me, but it's expensive." So when you're in a decentralized world, you are in control. Remember I said before, control your controllables. So now you are in control. It comes with some, it's not even risk, but it comes with some caveats, because of the fact that you're now in control on everything. There's no one you're going to go to and go, "I've lost my password. I've lost this. I've lost that." No, it's literally, you are in control. You are responsible for all of this stuff. But that's but you are also know exactly where every single penny of your money is. And that's what the book teaches people. You know, that's one of the massive things within the book. Did you just ask me a question? Sorry. You've frozen, so I can't hear what your question was. Did you hear me?
And I'm back again.
Oh, you're back again. That's great. I was going to say, I'm trying,
really.
All I'm seeing is you looking at me.
With blank look. The book is genius because the book is hugely unique. It's giving education, so we're learning from it, and then we're learning how to apply.
Yes.
So it's fantastic.
As I say, for me, it's one of those things that people can pick up, put down, and read each section.
At this point, there is in room because is passionate about this book, and I think it would be great to let's carry on the conversation with our very own crypto queen. If you don't know Harriet Tubman, you need to into the room.
Oh my God. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh my goodness. What's up, family? How are you both?
What about your family?
Now,
well,
let me
we
say
are great.
This.
We've had
you all are breaking up a little bit, so you all let me know when you can hear me or not, or if I'm clear.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, let me just say this. You know, I'm in the back doing some engineering stuff, and I think you got a couple of comments too. I want to read those before I get into my soliloquy of life. But this says, move around with Deborah says, greetings, Zanna and Chris. I so appreciate you and Tony authoring this educational book and platform for the world to get a better and easier understanding of the path to the new way of money. Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you, Deborah, for that. Yeah, no doubt about it. And then also we had a comment from Naima Latif, who's the CEO of this Female Solution. She says, an entrepreneur is a self-empowered person who is never unemployed. All they have to do is discover a new product or service to sell. Thank you, my love. That was up from earlier before too. So yeah. I think I'm thank you for having me on here, Zanna. I'm part of our little crypto family, and there's two main points that I really want to say. One, I want to say thank you to you, Chris. I've been in crypto for some years. This morning I was thinking about myself, and I was thinking about how many people can you help survive better today? And I was thinking about the things that I do that help people survive better. Well, when I think of the work that you have chosen to do, whether you realize it or not, you actually are helping people survive better. Like we are able to take this book and survive better, like really become financially astute and really sit down and take what you may have taken. I don't know how light or not you took it. I don't think you took it lightly, but I'm just saying, I think you're making a bigger impact than you even know by sitting down and making a book that we can learn from, that we can grow from that. Like I have a whole plan on going into the schools with this book, but I'm glad that you did it because you did it in a way that it's understandable by young people and all of that. So I guess when you did this, did you have a sense that it would reach as far as it's reached? Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm in Chicago, Illinois. You're in London. We got people now reading your book in Papua New Guinea, Australia, Cambodia. Like this is huge. Did you know that it was going to get this huge?
No, I mean, when the book was, as I say, we didn't realize it was going to get this big, but it's for everybody. The book is for everybody because the world's changing. You know, we can't suddenly go, oh no, it's not going to change for me. I'm still going to use fiat money in 10 years' time. You're not going to have that option, you know, because as soon as the banks have found a way to make it expensive and make a super simple system for you, you're going to be using the digital world. So you may as well read the book and learn how to do it and educate yourself. Like I said, they rely on 95% on people being uneducated. This book, anybody that gets this book has no reason not to be uneducated because it is a simple book and it's written in simple terms because, believe it or not, I'm dyslexic, so I have to write everything in a very simple term. So and so it's written in simple terms, simple English, that, and I say simple English because we've actually translated it into many, many different languages, and it's also available in audio as well. So yeah, but yeah, it's written in basic words so that it's easy for everybody to understand. There's no kind of like solicitor, lawyer type words inside there that are going to be, you know, that people are going to be having to move away from the book to look up to decide what that is.
And that's important because, you know, I do a presentation every other day, but making sure we clear those words, making sure people understand those words is so important if we're going to have them retain what they are reading. And so, particularly, you're dealing with an industry that's new to the world. This new to the whole world. So this not even something where we can kind of pick up the from the past and see how you're doing it new. No, it is new. Like it is a thing. We have to define what it is. And I love the book because it's written in a way that you could tell it was written to help people understand. You weren't trying to pontificate about all you know in the crypto world and trying to seem complex. And I think a lot of people try to be complex when they deal with cryptocurrency because, you know, they want to seem smart, but that's not the point. And I get a sense that with breaking free, that there's an intention to make the complicated simple because you can, it could be complicated, but you don't make it that.
Anything that's new is complicated because you don't know it. Driving a cab in London is complicated. Even trying to get your way around London is complicated if you don't know it. And crypto is exactly the same thing. You know, if you're very, very, very new to it, it's complicated. There's so many terms that you need to know. You know, like an electronic wallet. What is it? You know, so again, it's one of those things. But again, there's a lot of people it goes back to what we was talking about when I was saying about education. A lot of people with their centralized bank, they understand a centralized bank to a point. But for a lot of people, when they think about a centralized bank, they think they are depositing their money in a bank and it's my money. Well, the reality is, where if you ever read your small print, the depositing part is actually marketing. You're actually loaning your money to the bank. And when you look in your account and you see those numbers, that's not actually money in there. That is just how much the bank owes you. You've loaned it to the bank. Whereas for most people, they actually don't actually look at it as they're loaning the bank their money. Because as if you read the book, you'll learn that the banks only have to hold 10% of your money. They can loan out 90% of it to other people. So you loan them your money, then they loan it out again and make more money out of it. You know?
That's why we need to read the book. And I think it, you know, people out there, it's really huge and growing in Nigeria right now for sure, which is so big because the world equates Nigeria with scam, crypto, scam, this and that. But now your book is going to bring clarity for everyone there and everyone around the world. And I mean, I think, how would you match what you're doing with cryptocurrency to sort of like your overall goal to, because you, this motivational part where you're giving people solutions and advice, like I see a correlation because you've taken now and you're doing the same thing but it's just in another industry. Do you see it like that?
I do. I see it as the fact that again, for me, it's all about helping. You know, if the book helps one person, then it was worth writing. The fact that it's gone on to help thousands of people, and we hope will help eventually help millions of people, then it was worth writing. You know, because education, there's an old cliche: every day's a school day. You know, and we never stop learning. And I just feel that the way the world is moving so fast, you need to have that little book there. You need to have that dictionary. You know, when you was at school and you didn't know how to write a word, you looked it up in the dictionary. Oh, there's the word. You copied it. Done. And you then learn how to write. When it come back to writing that word again, you remembered it because you'd seen it written down. This is the same thing. Use Breaking Free as a dictionary. What is a wallet? What is this? What is that? What is, look it up, and I just feel that the more people that say, that they're breaking free and they're loving it and they're loving the concepts and that it's helped them so much, the better we feel about it. You know, the more we go, yeah, it was the right thing to do.
Nice. Zanna, I don't want to take up your whole show. I just start talking, Zanna. I'll just start going with it. But I do want to say this. I want to acknowledge how much we're actually learning. I'm going to speak, when I say us, I'm talking about USA. Because in the USA, we're made to think that the USA is everything. But one of the things that I love so much is that it's cryptocurrency and your book that's bringing so many different countries together. Number one, I thought it was so funny. One time I had a member in the US say, "Can we tell Tony Bello that there's a misspelling in there?" And I'm like, "No, ma, they're from Europe. That our Z is their S. Like, if you say centralized, for you is LISED, and so, just the things that we don't even know that we're learning about, new cultures, new flags, just the language when we're doing our webinars. And Tony Bello will say something about privacy. And I'm like, oh, that's privacy, guys, but again, it's just making us so aware of the rest of the world. And I love that crypto's doing that. Like, we wouldn't even be talking if it wasn't for cryptocurrency and your book.
Correct. Yeah.
We would not even know each other, right? But it's just creating a new reality for the world now. Like, whoa, like, what book can we all say that we learned from together? Right? You really can't name it. Go ahead. Look, Zanna, don't have me dominate. Go ahead, girl. Zanna, if you need to say whatever you need to say, because I'll keep on talking. But I also want to know, I know it was kind of choppy, you all's internet connections there in Europe right now is a little choppy. So I just want to make sure I can communicate with you guys and you can hear me well and everything. But yeah, I basically am glad to be here because it is because of a book like yours that I'm here in this organization.
It's bad, but
it's okay. If you ask me, Zanna, I think if you're going to take this much power,
it's the rainstorm.
That's right. It's that's right.
And it's
Go ahead, Zanna. Go ahead. Yeah, we have about 4 or 5 minutes.
Since we're chopping in and out, I think our audience can probably hear you both. We have two things we need to make sure that our audience are aware of is, first of all, I want to make sure that the audience know that they can communicate with Chris Hilaire. They can get a hold today. I hope you've been absorbing all this wonderful information, but you can get in touch with Chris. You can follow Chris on TikTok, and there it is at Chris.
I think Zanna's broken up, but what she's saying.
Go to the recordings if you didn't get a chance to write.
Yeah, if you don't hear Zanna, because Zanna, I don't know if they're hearing you clearly.
I'm not hearing Zanna. This is the crazy
it's
thing.
okay. You're right.
I
So what it
I
is,
can hear you. I
you
can
can hear
hear you
me.
but
I don't
right
know
across
either.
the US, and Zanna's
I
like
need them to
maybe
know how
about
to
30 miles
contact
from me, and I can't hear her.
That's
Chris
so funny.
along the bottom.
Yes, along the bottom, you guys,
And I need
is Chris
people to
Hilaire's
know
info.
how. Fun games. So if you could let our audience know how they're going to buy the book.
Yes, absolutely. I think I'll put the website for the book down at the bottom as well. And you can contact any of us if you know us on social media, and we can definitely help you get it. But let's say you just want to look and read it and, see what it's about. It's Breaking Free for You, right? .com.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that the website? Or
Breaking
should they
Free
go
for
to
You.
mydefybook.com?
MyDefiBook.com is probably the easiest one to get it on an ebook, as an ebook. You can get it at there are other outlets, breakingfreeforyou.com, but mydefybook.com is probably the easiest one that to get it at.
Okay, cool. Well, why don't we leave these last 2 minutes? Give us some words of wisdom, Chris, before we close.
Well, one thing I would say to anybody that is thinking about getting into the crypto world, buy the book, read it, digest it, make notes in it. I like a book where you've got notes and you can write in it and stuff like that, because there's a psychological thing that when you write something, it burns it into your brain, so it sticks and you remember it. So that's one of the things I would say to you. If you want to get in touch with me, for whatever reason, whether you might just be having a bad day, because I'm very fortunate. I've never had a bad day in my whole life. And people go, "You must have had a bad day." No, I haven't, because I've had some bad moments, but I've never had a bad day. Because those bad moments don't affect the rest of my day. I've got a small brain, so I don't carry stuff around with me. Cab drivers, they're notorious for carrying stuff around with them, carrying passengers around in their head. I said this to her and she said that about the route. I'm thinking, passenger down 2 hours ago. Why are you still carrying them around? Leave them there. Where you left them, leave them there. And that's the same thing, in your life, just leave it there. And I will say this one last thing. I judge my days and my weeks and my years and my life by 98. Will I remember this day when I'm 98? If I'm never going to remember it when I'm 98, it's not important for me. I don't need to keep it. I let it go. Okay. So on that note.
Yay. Thank you, Chris, so much. Thank you, Zanna.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
you. It's a pleasure to talk to you and to
been
know
an
you.
absolute joy, hasn't it, Zanna?
I love it.
Brilliant.
Chris is hilarious.
I love it.
Chris Hilaire. He is hilarious all the time. Take us out, Zanna. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you very much. And Chris, you've been absolutely fabulous today on this Global Talks. I'm truly thankful that you've taken the time to come onto the show. And if anybody's just come in at the beginning, please go to the YouTube, The Female Solution, and you will find the recorded version there. And on Facebook, any other places, Asada. So come along and watch the whole show. It was a bit disjointed because the internet was a bit naughty today, wasn't it?
We are having a storm
here. We've
had
a heavy rainstorm. We've had a heavy rainstorm here, and I think that has affected it. So I think it's my fault.
You can't handle all the power. It's okay. It was still good. It was beautiful.
There's too much power, too much positivity going through the airways.
Oh, that loaded with positivity without a shadow of a doubt. It's been absolutely joyous. I've loved it. It's
been a pleasure. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. God bless you both.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
God bless you too. Bye-bye. And thank you, audience, for coming and listening and watching. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.